in Algeria, Thailand, Cambodia, China, and Laos. I think I'm smarter than most people I meet. I don't think I score high on emotional intelligence. When I first moved to London, nobody would sleep with me for 2 years. The last serious relationship I had was 10 years ago. I knew in an instant I was no longer in love with her one day when she showed up at my front door with a bunch of groceries. It took 2 years to end it. I have lots of ideas when I'm out walking, but when I try to write them down when I get home, they are gone. I think I want to become a writer, but I'm scared I don't have the discipline. I once took a shit on stage. It then became urban myth that I regularly shit myself on stage. I took great pride in the myth. I once got married in New York. Then after trying to make it work for a whopping 11 days back in London, I broke it off. I love my parents equally, but at the end of the day, I'm mommy's boy. I'm prone to deep romances, but I prefer the company of women. I don't really understand what commitment entails. I allowed myself to be bullied as a teenager and as an adult, and hated myself for it. I think I'm almost over that now. I think the ubiquity of the term white privilege is a neo-lib ruse. I think the ubiquity of the term toxic masculinity, well, when I think about that, it makes me want to weep tears of blood. I've never referred to myself as Bane. I don't ever want to go on tour again. Performing is better than sex. Performing on drugs is better than sex on drugs. I'd never shoot up. I used to have a serious cocaine problem. Unless I'm on a lot of drugs, I'm basically a prude. I hold writers in a nonsensically high regard, to the point where it actually dulls my critical faculties. I once lied about having had sex with a girl at college because I was so ashamed of my endless rejections. I'm more interested in books than music. I don't like couscous, but I don't have the heart to tell my stepmother. I like a bit of purchase on my carbohydrates. I can't cook. I have a small scab on my lower left jaw that I've been picking at for almost a year now. When I was a child, I used to obsessively try and push out a shit, even though there was nothing there. This went on for years, but I never told anybody about it. For a while, I thought I was mentally ill. I'm scared of Saul, and scared for him. I feel sorry for almost everyone. When I watch my mother eat, it makes me want to cry. I don't think I'll ever own a dog. I told my mom that I'd always hated a Jack Russell after it shattered my suitcase on my last visit to her house. The dog succumbed to liver disease a week later. Sitting on the stairs with my little brother weeping while my big brother tried to break up the worst fight my parents ever had is probably the most vivid memory from my childhood. The road trip my dad took me and my brothers on to Algeria just before my family fell apart was the greatest gift I ever received. I think a good teacher is one of the most noble things a human being can be. I don't think we're going to solve the climate crisis. I want to have kids. Part of me attains to a level of middle-class comfort that will shield me from the spasms of history. The other part wants to take part in the spasms, come what may. I've done lots of bad things, but I don't think I'm a bad person. I judge people down on account of their being middle or upper class, and nothing else really. Even though I've spent plenty of time with the rich, and know them to be probably the most miserable, damaged, lost people on earth. I haven't made a lot of money. I don't own my own home. I have no clue how many people I've had sex with. I could never commit suicide while my mother is still alive. I live with my dad at the moment. He's incapable of talking. He just shouts. So I spend most of the day wearing silicone earplugs. Otherwise I can't write. I once got sucked off by a Californian yoga instructor in a back alley just off the Kosan Road. The only way I could make myself calm was by imagining Nazi jackboots stamping on human faces. I hid from him the next day. I'm being cyberbullied. I once tried to act tough at high school in Scotland. My Indian friend was getting called Paki by a bully, so I stood up to her, told her to fuck off. She kicked me so hard in the balls, I ended up in hospital for a week with a testicle swollen to the size of an orange. I once tried to crawl into my friend Miss Harrop's womb through her stomach when I was in a K-hole. She anally penetrated me a month later. I once shot myself in a public square in the middle of Montpellier. I was about 10 and I was wearing shorts. I don't mind getting older. I'm not especially vain. I only ever own roughly 2.5 outfits. I can see myself going a bit Eastern as I get older. I'm on magic mushrooms. I fill my head full of all the worst things people have ever said or done to me before I go out on a stage. I'm always surprised and scared to find myself on a stage. In my core, I'm really quite shy. I'm obsessed with cancel culture. I spend a great deal of time ranting against it in my head, but don't bother voicing it because I'm scared of getting cancelled. I think woke censorship is the death of Western culture. I only started reading Nietzsche last week. I nearly died touring once. I started coughing up blood at the end of a show in Paris. I was diagnosed with a bad pneumonia and had to sit in an isolation ward for a week. I don't know whether the whippings I received as a child have been the making or breaking of me. A bit of both is the best I can hope for. I'm scared that the thing I resent in my father the most, his brutally patriarchal Algerian outlook on gender, has left me culturally untenable in today's climate just by my mere proximity to it. I'm scared that sometimes I eschew the blame without even thinking about it. I consider being able to keep a roof over my head, food on the table, and money to travel occasionally, success as an artist to a sad extent. I reread the first chapter of Camille Paglia's sexual persona to relax. I forget people's names the instant they tell them to me. I sometimes get a terrible feeling that I've betrayed myself and followed the wrong course in life. But when I look at other people's lives, they seem so vanilla, I don't really mind. Nathan Saoudi is my spirit animal. The first time I cheated on my girlfriend, I came home from the party where it had taken place, woke my brother up and wept into his arms. I find the idea of my partner getting fucked by other men deeply arousing. Sometimes I mistake shameless self-exposure for art. I've only ever had one threesome and it ended in tears. I've only ever had one session of therapy. I felt like there was so much I'd have to explain before we could get anywhere, but 1 hour a week seemed nonsensical. And back to the music. Let's get off my chest. This song's called Rockfishes.
That's what I was saying.
Sound in tune to you?
Wearing masks.